Hello, dear viewers. This is Benandorf, and welcome back to another episode of Victoria 2, Heart of Darkness. As we left off, we were just about to finish up our last 15% of civilization to westernize, so I think we're going to go ahead and do that now. Viva la Japan! Wagons west, such as it is. And here we go. We are now westernized. See where that puts us. Wow, that will jump us directly up to a secondary power, or right up to a great power after the 6 months it takes for someone else to drop. Looks like we still cannot get machine parts, though, to save our lives. I am, however, going to queue up a factory in a couple of these states. If I can find one that has timber, I will certainly put a lumber factory there. There we go. That's a nice big state, so I'm going to create a factory here. One of the new benefits of Heart of Darkness is that if you build a factory that the incoming parts are also made in the same state, the throughput goes up by up to 25%. I'm going to try and get that started, even though it will be a while before it actually finishes. In addition to that, I'm going to use my two national focuses to encourage capitalists in the largest areas. It looks like we're doing okay on clergymen. We'll see how money goes, but it looks like our pops are finally starting to get their everyday and life needs, which is a nice change of pace. Once we flip over to great power, we'll also start to try and pull some of these into our influence, or at least keep some of these countries out of the influence of others. I'm also setting my sights on Hawaii. If we can get them out of the sphere of the USA, it would be a nice base for potential expansion in the Pacific, maybe even take some of Mexico. It looks like there's a new newspaper. Nothing particularly interesting, as per usual, but always some nice flavor text. And now one of our first important decisions: what to research. We have just traditional academia. The first thing I'm going to have to research are these. Oh, just the additional research points through idealism and the culture tree, and then probably ideological thought, since the plurality will help our research immensely. It's nice that we have a little bit of a boost from these ideas already having been researched, and considering how early in the game it is, we should have no real problem catching up to some of the other great powers. So let's unpause the game and keep it going. Our finances are looking a little bleak at the moment, but that should just be from construction, buying all that cement. So I'll just keep an eye on that, but I'm not overly worried. It looks like we have plenty of new soldier pops. I'm going to... Well, I will upgrade the army here in a little while, but for the moment I'm happy to just wait. Looks like we got some nice inventions. Activated artillery, so now we can build an artillery factory if our capitalists so decide. Plurality, always a plus. And construction of cuirassier, which is one of the types of cavalry, the more offensively minded. And it looks like these factories are finally starting to be built. I'm going to go ahead and speed up the building process of some of these railroads. Our capitalists are hard at work, which is certainly nothing to complain about. Should be able to industrialize quite quickly once this gets off the ground, considering our very large population, and more importantly, our very dense population, since much of the population is within these first 5 or 6 states. So that'll put us in a good place. I'm going to raise taxes again. It looks like we're starting to run a little low, mostly out of spending on construction, but for the moment, anyways, I'll try and cut those losses. Hussars, which are by far the most useful of the cavalry types, I think, because they have the highest reconnaissance rate, just got turned on, so I'm probably going to have to delete some of these, or I'm going to go ahead and delete some of these irregulars. I'm going to switch out these cavalry and replace them with hussars, or one hussar and one dragoon. After all, you only really need the one. So, oh, well, dragoons aren't available yet, so 2 hussars. Should we send a botanical expedition? Of course. Prestige is where it's all at. And we should jump up to great power here very shortly. Just certainly something I'm looking forward to. I'm going to move the fleet back over to home. Where did I even build that naval base? I'm going to move the home base to where I'm building a naval base. But definitely going to move the fleet there, just to consolidate a little bit. Ah, nice. The Clipper convoy production and throughput increased from this invention. Not that we have a factory yet, but it'll happen. And the capitalists are big on building fabric factories, it would appear, and canned food. That may not make any money, but we'll see. Ooh, running low on cash despite all of this, so I'm going to have to drop administration a little bit. The fees we're paying there are starting to balloon pretty significantly. Once the industry gets up and running, I don't think we'll have too many problems with money, but for the moment, bureaucrats can survive on a little bit lower budget. Doesn't look like these national focuses are increasing capitalists very quickly, but a crisis just showed up. Dutch Walloon. It looks like Netherlands conquered Belgium, and the Belgians want peace. But even though Prussia backed the Netherlands, no one decided to back the other side, so the crisis just collapsed, which once again is certainly okay with me. Looks like U.S.'s war against Mexico is going quite swimmingly. And El Salvador and UCSA are at war, too. Looks like basically North America is just a clusterfuck at the moment. And as a soon-to-be great power, that it looks like it falls on us to bring peace and stability to the region. At some point, anyways. And there we go. Great power. Excellent. Gain some prestige and lose militancy. A nice little event for Japan as they get great power status. And we are now among the big boys. That's why we started losing money. Our tax rate dropped back down once we industrialized. Or once we westernized, which is actually kind of funny to think that it became less efficient now that we're westernized, but so it is. Hawaii just had a revolution, which means they should be out of the sphere of the U.S. Ooh. I'm going to have to wait for infamy to go down a little bit more, but that is a very tempting target now. If only to have a nice little foothold. On the other hand, demand concession takes a very low amount. I'm going to go ahead and start that. Start conquering, cutting out some bits of Siam. Doesn't look like we can recruit any troops here, but this should be enough considering Siam is still primitive and we are great power. Upper house rearranged. Barely at all, but looks like a fabric factory was finished. So our first factory is now starting to churn out goods. Excellent. I'm keeping all of these subsidized for the moment because even though it may be expensive, it will end up being worthwhile in the long run. Damn, our botanical expedition was eaten by cannibals, it would seem. It's such as life. Not for them, such as death, but another factory finished building, and a next fabric factory should come out soon. CB generation speeds increased. We may get away with very little or no infamy at all from this, which would be very nice. Certainly nothing I would complain about. I don't know why this frigate's just sitting out here, but I'm going to send them over here. Imperial fleet, such as it is now slightly more dangerous. I really can't wait for this naval base to be finished, though, so I can repair these ships. That's very annoying that I'm not able to. And I'm going to just replace these units. Setting up the rally point, and then building up 4 infantry and 2 hussars. I can't build it that way. 2, 3, 4, and then hussars. And I'll probably add a pair of artillery to each of these armies here at some point pretty soon. But for the moment, I don't have to worry about it. Looks like Saxe Weimar has gone bankrupt. Doesn't affect me at the slightest, but if I wanted to, I could declare war on them. All the spending's coming through construction. Barely any infamy. In fact, less than bled off while I was creating this CB, so that's certainly a nice plus. And if I take this one state, it might just be enough. Oh, I had forgotten. I guess at the end of the last one I had finished creating a CB against these guys. Huh. That's what happens when you play early in the morning. Don't really pay that much attention. My bad. For those of you watching at home, feel free to berate me in the comments. I pretty much screwed that one up. But such is life. So I'm going to go ahead and... Ooh. Her money's dropping pretty low. I'm going to drop administration again. Drop education a little bit. Expenses on construction are pretty high. I guess I'm going to go ahead and raise tariffs just by 10% to keep my daily balance reasonable. I'm going to go ahead and actually fight the Siam forces. Should be a very short battle. Yep. Did plenty of damage there. Follow up. Hopefully overrun them. There we go. Instant overrun. And now I'm just going to siege them. Looks like they have... No, they didn't mobilize forces. Just moving the rest of their army. But I will be able to finish sieging before they do. Furniture's a nice good, so it's nice that it's now available as for factories. There's plenty of factory space at the moment, but looks like these factories are starting to fill up pretty quickly. So I'm quite happy with how my capitalists are taking care of all of this at the moment. Although I wish that these negative numbers were positive so I could actually be making some profit, but beggars can't be choosers and all that. We have all sorts of tea. I'm going to go ahead and give the capitalists the money. Let them do with it what they wish. And finished sieging, going to attack the unit trying to siege my land. And then follow them up to Patini. Patini? I don't know how to pronounce any of these. I don't expect this war to last very long. Even if I did ignore it for too long and let the last CB lead off. But, you know, those sorts of mistakes happen. It's what happens when you play a game over a number of play sessions. And it looks like Siam's army is completely devastated now, so I'm just going to finish up sieging until they will surrender. A nice bit of plurality to raise our research rate. Once we get idealism through, that will go up by another about 50%, almost 2.5, or 50% of the base, so another 2.5 points a day, which is nothing to scoff at. That also reminds me of the suppression, but it looks like Korea's happy now. And I'm going to let these movements move on a little bit. I would be fine with meetings allowed and that sort of thing if the upper house will vote for it. I have no problems with democratizing, or HM's government, or his or her majesty's government, I should say, is probably the best government type in Victoria too, so I would be more than happy to slowly get reforms up to that point. It still allows me to change the faction that's in charge, while at the same time creating elections and keeping the people pretty happy. I really wish there was an interventionalism ruling party, but perhaps they'll show up here sometime pretty soon. At the moment, just going to go ahead and keep sieging, dropping tariffs a little bit, and going to pay off my loans. Why pay interest when I don't have to? Raise education back up. I'm in a decent position right now. After idealism and ideological thought, I may have to grab additional taxation efficiency tech just to help our finances stay in a pretty good position. It looks like the Chartists are rallying. I don't even know what Chartists are. Looks like they're looking for voting privileges. I am not going to take the population drop so they can become liberal and have one militancy. It won't last for very long anyways. And Siam is given up already. Alrighty. So that's a nice little bit of land. Not a ton, but just enough to complete the state. Maybe cut Siam down enough so that I can just conquer them outright next war. Another feature of Heart of Darkness is that any units that are left in enemy land after war are considered in exile, which means that they pretty much have to sit there with zero organization. It jumps back up to wherever it was before once you get back into your land, but it means that you can't just wait until the next war and immediately start sieging. It looks like luxury furniture just got activated, which is, once again, certainly okay with me. I'm going to move this army back to the Korean Peninsula. There we go. And I'm going to replace another of these units. After all, it's important to modernize the army. So 4 more infantry and 2 more cavalry, or 2 more hussars anyways. I guess they aren't technically cavalry, that's a different unit. And just waiting for idealism to finish researching. Looks like we had a couple more factories done, or railroads in fact. And I'm going to stop it there for now. January 1st, 1847, we are a great power, starting to industrialize. Strong military, a lot of prestige. We're in a very good place to be number 1 by the end of this time. So, thank you for watching, and check back next time.